Sunday drive.
And put out there.
Yes, already.
Can I try it?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's no.
Good evening and welcome to the Townsend Housing Authority meeting. Today is Thursday, October 3rd, 2019, and this is an open meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and a roll call, please.
Courtney Brother?
Natalie Call?
Chaz Sexton Duranian. We also have Laura Schifrin, and she should be on her way, but we're going to go ahead and start the meeting on time here. This meeting is being recorded, and there's no one else here that's recording, so that's okay. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as always, we want to thank our veterans, present and past, and we appreciate your service. This meeting, chairman's additions, deletions, and agendas unforeseen prior to 48 hours of this meeting. We are in search of a videographer for the general public, and we decided, or we thought that putting this in the very, very beginning would be important. So I'd like to address this first off. It was suggested that because we can have it in our meeting, so it's going to be a rolling thing, so at least we're going to say it each time at the very beginning, since we do go live first when we're doing it. So thank you, Jody, for making that suggestion. So basically what we are looking for is the town has public access television, and as I'm being told, the first part of that, the public is the one being responsible for helping us out with this. So in that vein, I'm asking for anyone that is a Townsend resident who is interested in helping us out behind the camera, helping us run the equipment to be able to put this live on TV, to go onto the website and fill out a volunteer form, and that volunteer form then will be passed into the people that are IT department, and from that point you'd be able to help us make sure that we can continue on this live. We are currently on some projects. There's a couple of major projects that the Housing Authority is getting involved in. It is invaluable for us to have public support and public help. We need input, as much input as we possibly can. So anybody who is interested to help us out to work on the video portion of this, please definitely get on the website and fill out the form. Work session 2.1, discuss agenda for public forum on October 5th. So I'm going to defer to you in the beginning here, Natalie. Where are we at with that?
Where we are, we have the hall, which is set. I talked to Bailey's. Pam Mariano is generously donating food for us, for the forum. I spoke with Stewart's. He's got to drop off some vases with her tomorrow. I talked to her today. Okay. And that's all I have to do. I just said just do a fall. We'll have them at the tables.
So we'll have arrangements?
Or, the vase with the fall flowers.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I'll just get some vases, because really, that's really what we need, just at each of the tables. Yep. Nothing, it's fall. So, okay. But the food I'll pick up sometime. It'll be Saturday morning. I think she said 9:30. So that needs to be picked up at Mariano's. Not Mariano's, excuse me, Bailey's.
Is there a number on that? How many people, roughly?
No, I thought we had 8 tables, 50.
Okay, that's more than okay.
I'm just guessing. I can give her a number.
Nope. I don't
guessing.
know. I was thinking 25, 30. 50's okay with me if that's what she wants to do.
Well, I'll touch base with her tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll touch base with her.
I'm not really sure.
I wasn't sure.
The last one we had, Jody and I were talking about that earlier. I think there was 25, if I remember correctly. The last one.
I'll go with 25, 30 then.
Yeah, it seemed like a decent turnout last time, and there is a little bit of talk about it, but people talk. It's a follow through.
Yeah.
So.
True.
So I can go by there tomorrow and say 25, 30-ish. I can just leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it the way it is. But I'll touch base, I'll go by and touch base with her tomorrow anyways.
Well, from what the way in which I talked with John about the timing on it is, if worst came to worst, we would have some time that I could give him a jingle and he could bring in it, or she could let us know and we could send somebody to get more. All right.
True, yeah.
Are you going to be helping us on Saturday too?
Again, yep.
Excellent.
Okay.
So, and you're going to be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there. I
Okay.
just have to leave it
Okay.
after it's over.
Jody, you're going to be there?
I am not.
Okay.
Lindsay will be.
Lindsay, it's going to be there. Excellent. Okay. So, and I'll go over the agenda so we can chat real quick about that. But as far as the food, then, so we don't have to do any, and you're going to pick it up at 9:30.
I'm picking up at 9:30.
Okay.
I've got a station wagon, so.
What time can we get in there?
10
Because
o'clock
we can get.
when it opens. So Friday evening until 5 o'clock, you can get in there to decorate.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's
We can
perfect.
do
I'll
that
get the
tonight.
flowers. I'll get the flowers over there Friday.
Okay.
I'm dropping them off and I'll see what time I can get them. If not, I'll just bring, you know.
Then I'll have to talk to John from MRPC and let him know that he.
But otherwise, we can't get in right till then.
Till 10 o'clock when they open it.
Sorry, I'm. This is Lori. Just she may not make it. She's
Okay.
having some issues here. I'll need to touch base with John because he was going to come early because they got to set up easels and all that kind of stuff. Would you be able to give him a jingle tomorrow morning for me?
Mm-hmm.
If you could call him and see if they can do it the night before. If not, then we can always. I mean, if it's just easels and that kind of stuff, we can get it done real quick.
Still be
Yeah.
fast.
I'm not.
Unfortunately, they would have had to authorize staff to come earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm sure someone is probably going to be there at like 9:30 or something to open the door. So I'm hoping we can
Scoot in.
just squeeze in. I don't see why
I don't see
they're in
why.
there. They wouldn't let us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't think about that until earlier. Okay, so as far as the agenda in your packets, you guys should have the agenda. It's what John and I had talked about. Let's see. So 10 a.m. is an introductions and overview. It usually doesn't start right on time. I don't think I've ever been to anything that started right on time. But I'll do welcome and introductions. And what I'll do is I'll just introduce each one of you as members of the Housing Authority. Lindsay, I'll introduce you as the Land Use Coordinator. And I'll do a brief overview of what the Housing Authority is, what we do, and a couple of the projects that we're working on. I think this will give us just a little more recognition that I think we really would need. John said he said take 10 minutes if you want to. I don't want to really go on too much, but I do want to get involved that we're gearing up for our next project. There's a lot of things that we want to be able to get in front of the public.
Might be a good time to plug getting a tenant member if
Mhm.
they are in the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a videographer too. I figured I'd throw that in there as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So the next portion would be John talking about the goals of the housing public forum. So basically why we're having this particular function and the process involved in it. In the back of the what was given to you guys, it's a thing with circles on it. That gives you. Did you get one of those, Lindsay? It gives you. It's kind of like an algorithm of how it's going to be. The goals, and then the breakouts to facilitators. So John will go over exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to break it out. We're going to break out into. We're going to break the group up into their different tables. And then each one of those tables is going to have a representative from our group. So this is where I'm going to enlist some of your help, where it's really that person would be to keep them on time, on a time schedule, and B, to write down whatever their feedback is going to be, because the questions that we're going to ask them, they're going to give feedback, and all we really need to do is record whatever they say.
Okay.
You know, we don't really need to provide any feedback at all. The key that John and I both agreed upon is the last time we really had to be very strict on the timing, because sometimes the topic can get kind of blown out of proportion. So he said if we can keep them on track and keep them on time, that's going to be the key for that. Once the questions are answered and they're happy with what they've put down, we're going to go to a break. And in that break is when we're going to allow them to get food and beverage and all of that kind of stuff. In that particular portion of it is when they will be able to talk amongst themselves, figure out who's going to be a presenter for their particular group, and if they have any questions or whatever. And then when we reconvene shortly thereafter, those people are going to present each table with what they've come out with, what they've come up with as far as their feedback is concerned.
Is there any concerns with them volunteering one of us to present their group?
I don't have a problem with that, as long as if the whole table is, you know, in that's probably what they're going to end up doing anyway.
I figured.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
We did have, if I remember correctly, the last time that we had it, a lot of the townspeople were absolutely no problem with them getting up and sharing, let me tell you,
All right.
which I thought was really great.
Yeah.
And then he has a section here with next steps. We both agreed that what we want to do is then, after we gather this information, John's going to explain exactly what we're doing with this information, how that the Housing Authority is working with the Master Plan Committee, what we need to do with it for the Housing Authority, for the Housing Production Plan, and what the Master Plan Committee is doing with their housing portion of the Master Plan, and then answer any questions that the public may have. The last time we did it, we had a long segment of questions that people had, and they ranged from, we didn't know we had a housing authority, how long has the housing authority been there? So it's been simple questions like that, to, you know, they talked about Habitat for Humanity. That was a big conversation in regards to that, and there was another big conversation about age restricted housing, which we'll go into when we talk about the other segments, when we get into the questions. Outside of that, that's kind of the agenda for it. We're hoping that it should be something pretty quick. We want to get in, get the information, get people fed and happy, and go on our way, so that the rest of us can then spend our Saturday.
I'm going to a concert.
So are
Over
we
at
okay
Hampton.
with all of that? That's
Yes.
okay for the agenda? Okay. The next portion, 2.2, we want to talk about the questions. The questions that John submitted, those are the ones that we're going to be asking at the table. Number one is, what are Townsend housing related strengths? 2 is, identify the biggest housing related challenges in Townsend. This is a time where we need to, we ask the question, but we don't want to bait the answer. So we got to
Right.
be really, really careful on how we do this, because I want to get people's thoughts on all of this, as opposed to kind of setting them up for the answer. And being a therapist, I'm really careful about that, because you can bait an answer really easily. So I want to make sure that we're getting their input. Discuss remedies to help overcome these challenges, and this could include grant-funded housing, rehab. You know, these are the things that we have to be careful that we just want to throw it out there and let them come up with whatever the answer is. We may have questions in regards to each one of these, so the reason why I wanted to emphasize this is we need to be clear on what some of these are. So if you guys don't know, you know, we'll figure it out. Habitat for Humanity, the zoning for affordability, weatherization, solar heating, any of those questions, if you have it, you know, bring it up. So we need to talk about that so that we're all clear. 3, would you be open to zoning changes that could promote more housing options within the community? And please speak to the pros and cons of each housing development. Should such developments be allowed, or should they be restricted? So those are kinds of development type questions, which falls into kind of where they wanna, what they see as the most important need. Did you have a question?
Would we keep accessory apartments on here considering that was actually part of zoning now? Cause the question is whether or not it should be, would these promote it, right? And should it be allowed or restricted? And that's kind of already been
Well,
determined?
I agree, but the accessory apartment has two things. It says with or without the family relative restriction. The way it's set up is that the accessory apartment bylaw that was accepted and approved is written so that if you don't have a family member, then it has to be in affordable housing. And what this is asking is with or without the family relative restriction, okay? I would assume, is that what you're getting out of that? Because accessory apartment, the only reason why we had put that in the bylaws because to increase affordable housing.
Yeah.
Now people want to take the affordable housing out of it.
Yeah, they wanna
so-
go and rent it to
Yeah,
whoever.
so we just want to find out from the public what they think about that.
Okay.
B, I want to talk to John about that one too. Age restricted is what the state calls it as opposed to 55 plus. I guess that's a,
But I also heard that, I don't think that is part of like the 10% for affordable housing.
what, the
Age
55?
restricted.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's, yes,
Yes,
correct.
correct. The age restricted housing is, without getting in a deep conversation about it, when you have affordable housing, your affordable housing falls upon your, there are certain, it loosens the density. Okay, so you can increase the density of what they need to do. With age-restricted housing, you do not have that. And there is discussion within the state to allow that for age-restricted housing now, as opposed to having it not. So the governor is looking into ways in which to ease zoning in each particular town to increase any type of housing. And if it means to look at some,
Allow that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a discussion, you know. We don't have any bylaw for age-restricted housing, because I know that the planning board, we've talked about it. We're looking into it as opposed to, you know, I have a feeling I'm gonna end up being on that because I have so much.
You've done quite a lot of homework.
I know, so I think I have a lot of. C, these are all, I think, really important. Two-family homes, multifamily homes, which is 3 units or more, condominiums, detached or attached, apartment buildings, assisted living facilities, and housing units above ground floor retail commercial space. I would assume that's more like downtown area stuff, I would guess.
Mixed use.
Mixed use, yeah. I know that a lot of what we have here in town is called spot zoning. There are certain pockets of everything. And, you know, I just like to find out from the townspeople what they think of all that. Do we need to be, you know, the way things are going now is like we really need to figure out what we need to do with where we're going in the future, you know, and part of our and I'm looking forward to a lot of the information from the master plan, because that's really going to chart the course for where Townsend's going to be. And my concern is that you know, planning is very, very important in anything that we do, and if we're not really up on our planning, then we could kind of, you know, be behind in a lot of things, and I don't think that we can afford to be there. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you guys have any other ideas on that, but, you know, I just think we really need to make sure that we're getting the right information from the people. And the last thing is residential districts are regulated to the size of 2 and 3 acre lots. Considering the size of lots, should a reduction of lot sizes be allowed? And if, excuse me, and if so, would back lot or infill development be amenable idea for the community? What's an infill development? You know?
I don't know, that's what I was.
I actually
thinking of.
have it from last forum.
Okay. Infill
Comparison.
development. Thank you, Jody. Infill development housing. Infill housing is the insertion of additional housing units into an already approved subdivision or neighborhood. These can be provided as additional units built in the same lot by dividing existing homes into multiple units or by creating new residential lots by further subdivision or lot line adjustments. If the lot size requirement is reduced, infill lots would be created. So that's like a huge zoning
Yeah.
issue right there.
So they're saying if you went from a 2 to 3 acre lot down to a 1, and then you'd get one in between, basically you'd create a new one.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes is right. But again, this is what we need to discuss. Backlot development is a lot be created, but must have a driveway or right-of-way access to the lot and meet dimensional standards. You know, what the whole goal behind the public forum housing is there's a lot of options that are available. We want to find out from the town what they want to do.
Yep.
You know, I'll give you, for instance, the last one. Thank you, Jody, for bringing that up. The last one we had the accessory apartment in. That's where that came up. And the accessory apartment was then, with that, we brought that to the planning board, and the planning board has taken that up. It's taken a couple of years to get it through, but they wanted to craft a better accessory apartment bylaw than what was in there before, you know, which that was voted in the last town election 4 years later, you know, but it was done. I know that we are still working on that. There are pieces of that we need to fix, you know. The thought is we need to create and develop more housing in the town. We need to find creative ways to be able to do that, you know, and we need to get that information from people. Questions, comments?
Can we go through the things in number 2 just so I am clear on all of them?
Yep. Let's see. So, grant-funded housing. Grant-funded housing is any housing. It could be through HUD, could be state, could be federal. HUD is federal. State would be, you know, whatever goes through on DHCD, the Department of Community Development,
Okay.
something or other. We have. You have a unit that is, we applied to get it listed as affordable, okay? Once it's listed affordable, there's a reduction in the price, and there's a deed restriction that's put on it that it has to remain affordable housing.
Right, and it can only appreciate by so much per year.
Correct. And then once that and it's in income, you have to meet income standards to be able to purchase it and all of that kind of stuff. Once that's been approved through this DHCD, we then, you know, the person buys it, and then we can apply to have that put on our subsidized housing, subsidized housing inventory, SHI, and you'll see a lot of things that'll say SHI. Each town in the state of Massachusetts is to comply with at least 10% of their housing be affordable housing, okay? If that 10% is not met, or you're not working on trying to improve to that 10%,
Yep.
then a 40B development can come into your town and get a permit to build, you know, like, the best thing I can give an example of is what happened at Whalum, where Whalum Park was. That's a 40B. That's a huge 40B. So a 40B will allow you to build the maximum amount of units for the least amount of space, okay? And when a 40B comes in, and if a developer wants to come in to do that, not all of those units are going to be affordable. Only a very, very small portion of them. So, but our hands are tied when it comes to, you know,
Yeah.
once that happens, if they apply and they follow the permitting rules, you know,
Can't do anything about it.
right. Where, how many units are in there, we have absolutely no control over it. So, having said that, how do I put this? when you build something like that, like we did Townsend Woods, and that's all funded from the state, could be some from the federal government. I mean, we did get a lot of federal funds for both of the units that we had over there.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it is, whatever we decide to do and get outside funds, either from the state or from federal. Elderly housing is the same way. We did get federal funding for that, because that's a HUD, that was the last, I forget what it is, Title 200 or something like that, that we got the funds for to build that. We get the last one in the state. Habitat for Humanity, you guys know what that is, right?
Yep.
So increase our housing for that. Zoning for affordability. How would you describe that, Lindsay?
I don't know, that's kind of a tough one, 'cause
It's up for interpretation.
yeah, it is, and it's, I think that's kind of one of the biggest issues in the state, and what, you know, what the governor's working towards trying to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Just zoning that's so restrictive, I think especially like the multifamily homes, I
Mhm.
think that would most apply to Townsend.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you in that. I think it may also even bleed into some of the how land use is being looked at within the town. I get nervous. Open space, that's kind of stuff makes me nervous when we talk about affordability.
And even just the 2 acre, the lot sizes, that's
Yeah.
kind of that restrictive,
Yeah.
you know, if it was 1 acre, we'd have so many more
Yeah.
Yeah.
houses, but.
And also that also includes looking at the septic too, because there's septic restrictions to a lot of these, and because we don't have town sewerage. I know some communities have looked into, I forget what the term is. I think it's like collective sewerage or whatever, where they have an actual plant to take care of it, and then adjoining lands can all use that same. So they can increase the density because they have its own little sewerage plant or whatever it's called. But
You can collect them in in developments too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You get so many. little
we
ones.
had one, I thought, out there at the school, didn't we? On Dudley Road. There was I thought the sewerage was like a little. But anyway, that's kind of what that is. Weatherization, solar heating, foreclosure programs. These are all programs that will fall in line with what Lindsay and I were talking to town council about. If we have a housing trust set up, we would be able to, once it's funded, we would be able to open up loans or a lottery for people that need to weatherize their home if they need to increase their insulation or whatever. We would be able to get funds from the state to be able to do a lottery style thing, to have people be able to do that, to increase. We could actually help subsidize for solar heating. Foreclosure programs, if somebody has a foreclosure, if they can provide income, that their income is strapped or whatever, we might be able to help them out in that respect. If we did have, I think maybe we should put the housing trust in there as well, just to get it out to the public. So can we add that? I think that would be, the housing trust would then, once it would be funded, we would be able to have the funds to be able to, for instance, if somebody did have, and this is just an idea, it's not that we're doing it, but the idea is with a housing trust, if somebody had difficulty with the home and we had enough funds within that housing trust, we would be able to buy that property, we would be able to renovate it, and then we would be able to use it as an affordable housing, providing that we had the right kind of funds. So that's kind of where I'm thinking that the direction of the housing authority itself can go. But I think to throw that out to the public to have their input on it too, I think would be a good idea. And veterans housing, and that's another thing that I want to keep out we out there, because that's what we had worked so hard on the past couple of years. I still think that's a viable resource for our town. Part of the beginning of what I'm going to be saying to the town is that or in the beginning in my introductions, is if you look at the breakdown of how Townsend is comprised of. If you're looking at people who are in need of affordable housing, number one is single women with children is number one in this particular town, and the second is veterans. You know, and we got a lot of pushback about, well, there's not a lot of veterans. Well, there is an awful lot of veterans, and we're finally being able to see that, you know, there's a lot of veterans that probably aren't taking veteran services right now,
Right.
but if it was
Yeah.
if it was being held available for them, they would probably, you know, want to be able to do that. So veterans is another portion of it that I definitely want to look at. Now, the last thing I guess I want to throw out there for you, Courtney, is that are you aware of what the governor's looking for as far as increasing the housing for Massachusetts?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't looked into it that much.
Okay, it's and jump in anytime that you want, Lindsay, in regards to this. The state has a normal increase in housing per year, and it has been going up at a steady rate since I want to say the 50s or 60s. When was Timberley Park was one of the largest neighborhoods that was developed. I think that was in the 70s, if I remember
70s.
correctly. And that was when the big boom happened in the state, where a lot of places really increased their housing. Since then, it's been on a decline on a year-to-year basis. We've had I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say 25 or 27 permits only in our town for building permits, if I remember correctly.
For last year.
Yeah, something like that. I'm trying to think of the PowerPoint that was there. You know, it was a very small amount, and what the governor is saying is that we need, with the amount that the population is swelling, we definitely need to have housing. All right, with the fact that for the state, the elderly population is increasing. It's going to increase threefold in the matter of 5 years, and then fivefold in the matter of 7 years. So we're going to have a lot of residents of Massachusetts in a situation where they will be needing either elderly or some sort of assisted programs to help them with housing. And there's just no housing for them. You know, what we've been working at in the Housing Authority is to develop some sort of plan so that we can kind of cover that. You know, we have right now Atwood Acres and Townsend Woods are completely full. The wait list on it is at a huge
Yeah, I think you were saying year and a half or something.
year and a half
year
right
and a
now.
half.
Yeah, that's projected. I don't really know the exact number on it, but we need something to kind of take the release valve off of those particular things. Would it be wise for us to build a 100-unit senior a third development for seniors? What's going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen in 15 years? What's going to happen in 20 years? You know, if the elderly population then drops down,
Yeah, I mean,
now we have
ideally-
senior housing.
Yeah, ideally those places are all adaptable, and that somehow is built into it, that it has the option of it's senior now and it could be this later.
Which then
Convertibility,
opens
yeah.
up the door is if we look at bylaws to change the age-restricted housing, it would take the place of, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things that we could do, and again, what we're trying to do is just get the feedback from the public, and then through the master plan and through the housing production plan. To follow through with what I was saying, the housing production plan is going to be written off of this, and that's what we submit to the state to show the state that the Housing Authority is working on increasing the affordable housing so that we don't have one of those developments come in. Now, there's an argument on the other side as well to say that we may want to encourage somebody to come in and build. If we encourage them, then we would have more control over what was being built, how it was being built,
Right.
and that kind of stuff.
Instead of someone just coming in and taking over without our
Exactly.
feedback.
Yeah. So that's kind of.
I mean, they're not all bad.
No.
It's housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still, you're still getting affordable units. I
Yep.
mean, in Lunenburg over at Lamb, like, they're beautiful.
They are beautiful, I agree.
They're nice, they
I
bring a
agree.
lot to, you know, they're all taxes and
The
it brings a
difference
lot.
though, the only difference that I see is that if we promoted for 40B, we would be in control of what they build.
Mhm.
If we are under that and a developer comes in and they follow the right rules and regulations, they're gonna build whatever they want, so we wouldn't have any say over what they have. That's really the difference between the two. There's one that we looked at not too long ago, in, I wanna say Agawam. Was it Agawam? Somewhere down in Western Mass, that it was a 40B, and it originally started at an old elementary school, and it was like in the front, when you look at it, it just looks like the old elementary school, but when you come around the corner, it's like the whole back portion of it, and the way they did it, it was hidden. And the apartments and stuff were gorgeous, you know, and, well, they were units, because they were selling like condos, I think. But, and then they have veterans housing as well. There was
Yeah.
another, where did you guys go?
Feeding Hills, Agawam.
So that was in the
Soldier
same
On.
area, Soldier On, yeah. So
And an
that-
old reformatory
So they have,
building.
and that was all for veterans housing
Yeah.
as well. So there's many different options available.
And they commingle.
Yeah,
They're all the
Yeah.
same,
I
just a
think they
different
have
name.
bad rep and people just
Of course, of
think,
course.
like it's a project,
It's
Yeah.
just-
you know,
Yeah.
and
yeah. And that's
too
where I
bad.
think, our goal is to,
Mhm.
because it's not a project,
Mhm.
you know. I mean, I'm a substance use counselor, and I've heard, you know, people saying, oh, it's gonna increase the drug,
It's not.
you know, traffic in town. And, you know, I'll say this because I am a professional in the field. It does not matter what type of facility that you do build, you're gonna have the same percentage of drug use no matter what it is, whether it's veterans or seniors even, you know what I mean? It all stays the same. But the fact still remains is that what we're trying to do is to having the town have the ability to keep the ambiance of what we want in our town, to be able to make sure that we do set the right parameters for somebody to do something like that. Increase affordability in the town, you know, keep people. I would much rather have somebody stay in town in one of these units than to have to sell their house because they can't afford to be there.
Right.
You know, and that's another reason why we wanted to do the accessory apartment. You know, I know several properties where they built accessory apartment where the parents went into the accessory apartment and the children came in and they rented out, or they owned the rest of the house. You know, so that they are raising their children in that house, but they're still keeping, you know, their parents in there too as well. So the creative thinking. So, anything else? So those are the questions. Are we happy with the questions? You know, you guys want to have any changes to them, or? Because I'm very satisfied with what was going to be brought up. So excuse me, I'll entertain a motion to accept these, and I'll let or we can let them know that these are okay.
Second.
We have to make the motion
get
first.
that.
I can't make a
I don't know
motion.
when to do.
Courtney makes a motion to accept
Yes.
the questions.
Okay. Is
Need
there
a
a second? Okay.
Yeah.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, those are going to stay. I like that. 2.3, allocate THA funds. We don't need to allocate any funds at all.
No.
And as far as you got the table things, so we're all set with
Yeah,
that, right?
I'll go by the senior center tomorrow. I know we have the round tables,
Okay,
right?
I give this to Jody now, so if we need this to go, and I have a tablecloth, a white tablecloth too.
Wherever you want, you know, we could put that on the, see, I don't wanna get dirty.
No, I understand that. This would go on the front. I
Okay.
would assume the table that would go in front
Yeah,
of
send it to
the
Jody.
projector thing. We
Yeah.
have the projector.
I'm gonna go in there tomorrow.
Okay. So if you do have the projector, I'll bring in my laptop. We're gonna need an HDMI cord, please.
Okay. All right. Lindsay, who's the point of contact at the library? Who do I use? I'll go
Um,
by there tomorrow morning.
you can
Uh,
use Molly? No,
Oh, Molly had the,
yeah.
yeah,
She's not on either, I don't think Stacey.
No.
Stacy's out,
I don't know, we can ask.
I'll just go in there. I'm gonna go by the senior
yeah, but I
center.
mean, they know, 'cause
I'm going in
we-
the senior center tomorrow anyway. I'll go by there
Mhm.
and make some
They must
inquiries
have a calendar.
with
they get on the
Katie. I'll
calendar.
talk to Katie. She's the program coordinator in the senior
Mhm.
center. I'll see what she can
Actually,
get.
maybe she's the one that I spoke with.
Probably Katie. I'll go talk to Katie tomorrow.
Do we need a microphone? We getting a microphone and a podium? Do we need that?
I'm writing this all down. I'll just, the
Yeah.
whole setup. We just need the whole
Yeah.
setup.
I
For
mean,
presentation.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I'll bring in my laptop, so all we need is to make sure that we have
The
the
cord.
the HDMI.
Okay.
Last time we used it, she had two, so I know that they have that there, so I'm
Yeah,
not
we
worried
got
about it.
everything in there.
Um,
And you want 8 round tables.
The way that we did it last time, we had portable mics. I don't know how she wants to do that. We might only need to have one.
I'll ask her. I'll ask Katie.
Okay.
And see what she says.
However that will work out.
Yeah.
Because when people were doing the presentation, they had the portable mic.
Right. You got the microphone, yeah.
Okay. I think that's all that was on my mind. Is there anything else that you can think of that we
Sorry.
need? We're gonna have water there,
We will have water there. yeah.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go in there when they have their lunch.
Okay.
I'll go talk to,
Donna,
Donna.
you think anything else that we need?
That I think of.
Okay.
What about like napkins, paper plates?
I'll talk to Donna Fenton. She's
Um,
the
with-
person that does the lunch.
When we did our other forum, Pamela gave us paper plates, napkins, and silverware
Okay.
when we did it before.
Okay. Oh, Pam did, okay.
Yeah. Did
Okay,
we,
I'll go talk with her.
is she doing the sandwiches
I
that
think
she
so,
did?
yeah.
Okay.
I told her when I sent you a message to let you know, but I'll go by the senior
The
center
homemade
tomorrow
potato
morning.
chips, really good.
Oh, October is VFW, Townsend VFW fundraiser at Bailey's.
Okay.
Any money that's raised goes to veterans in need, not to the VFW since we don't have the canteen, I'm just saying. That money is going to the VFW.
What a
for
shameless
veterans.
plug that was.
Well, no, it's for veterans. This is for veterans. Veterans, that's the VFW is. We have the American Legion, and we now have this is a plug, we now have a new charter. DAV, after 20 years in the state of Massachusetts, the first one in 20 years. So we've got a whole setup of 3 organizations at the VFW. That's what we do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's not a
okay.
plug, but
Yes, it
I
is a
just-
plug.
no,
But I'm
because.
okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I know you're okay. Have some candy. Especially that one.
Okay, so 2.4, review and approve any outstanding minutes.
We're up to date.
So we have 2 in front of you. Wednesday, June 12th, and Wednesday, July 10th.
Yeah.
Did you guys have I mean, I looked at them and I was okay with it.
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the minutes as read, as stated.
Okay.
Right.
Jody, did we say we needed any changes on these or no? We didn't, right?
Just the formatting at the top.
Okay.
Minutes approved and
Okay.
we'll do it as well.
So I can you amend your motion to
Amend.
allow for changes?
Allow for changes. Allow for any additions or corrections.
Okay.
That's my
We do have
motion.
which one's this one?
Yeah.
Wednesday, June 12th. It's,
June
there's
12th.
a sentence started on the back, but not finished. We have a,
1, 2, 3.
oh, maybe I don't have
Okay.
it.
On the work session?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's that? What is that supposed to?
I think I stopped typing, I started to do something and then stopped. I saved it.
Hey,
We got a lot
it
of
happens.
this week, so.
Oh,
it's-
Yeah,
happens.
I know, I heard you guys had quite the fiasco with the computer. Are we in the cloud now?
I hope so.
We're always in
Yeah.
clouds.
Something new every day, it seems.
Yeah. They did that at my job too. They changed our email server. And when they changed the email server, we had OneDrive.
Mhm.
So with our new server, they didn't take our old OneDrive stuff and put it back over. So all of my documents that I had in my OneDrive are completely gone.
Our whole server's changing this weekend at
All
our
of it?
office. Yeah, they're physically moving.
Is your
it to
CAD, all of your CAD stuff and all of that?
everything.
Oh my.
It's very scary.
Yeah, yeah. For that, yeah, I would be
Afraid.
frightened. Yeah, I'd be frightened.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're, is there a second on that?
Yeah, we had a second, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mm.
All right, so that passes. And Jody, do we have any other outstanding ones?
These are the two earliest, so after this, it will be
August.
August, September, and today.
Okay.
Good. Good, good.
Awesome.
And that's where we're meeting. Our next meeting is going to be Thursday, October 10th, which is following the forum, which we'll be discussing the forum. I would like to get the agenda items over to Jody sooner rather than later. So if you guys have anything you want to add to it, can you just let me know, and then I'll let you know what we're doing. But the next agenda, Lindsay, you and I, if we can talk real quick at some point to find out what we want to talk about in that particular one to get going. I know that we definitely want to get the feasibility thing nailed down.
Yeah, and the warrant article, or the account.
Yeah.
Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Yeah, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and also the warrant article that we talked about with Adam. And maybe we should just put in there our conversation with Adam. I think that would be a good way to do it. I barely had a voice that night.
I have been pulling together a few examples of some projects, so I can share those next week, or we can
Yes.
put it on another time.
Nope, we can put it on next week.
And we can always kind of continue too as I.
So do you want, we can put her for an appointment no, we don't need an appointment because you're on the board now. So we'll just put her on for, she's gonna talk about
Some
student.
precedent studies. I won't have the students because I meet with them on the 18th.
Okay.
But I have some precedent studies on some housing that's kind of out of the box stuff.
Okay.
Will you email me, Courtney, that, just so I can put it on the agenda the correct way?
I can do that.
And before we adjourn, I just want to go over what we have. The mail real quick.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, there is a referral in there that Beth gave me this evening that she wanted you guys to take a look at.
Okay. Mandatory referral notice. An ordinance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A in the Townsend zoning bylaws, subsection 145-36, 145-65, and 145-66, and under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, comments should be provided within 35 days. Failure to make recommendations shall be deemed lack of opposition. The application will be notified of your comments in the public hearing. This looks like an application for a accessory apartment special permit. Our first one, actually. Ooh. The process actually is what we're still trying to work out, which I'm very excited to see that it's coming to fruition. The applicant fills out the application. It's really this is kind of like notifying us that somebody is doing that in regards to a accessory apartment without us really digging into it at this particular point. She just got this today?
She just handed it to me this evening.
Okay, so I just want to look at it real quick. And this actually addresses exactly what I just talked about. This is a residence that they are creating an accessory apartment for their elderly parents.
Mm-hmm.
So, because this really doesn't have anything to do with affordability at this point, you know, there's no action that we would need to do. Had this had that, then I would just say that we would all need to review this and take time to figure out what we want to do to provide feedback, because it's a referral. So if it's something that we have questions on, then we can send it back. So how do you think we should do this,
I would
Lindsay?
just no comment.
With no comment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sign off so that you reviewed it, but, I mean, like you said, there's really nothing.
Nothing for us.
Mhm.
But had it been something for the affordability, then we would then, you know, my thoughts is then that's when we would basically give them a packet of exactly what they would need to do for affordability, right?
Yeah, that's what you would comment, like, please follow, or, you know.
Yep. So with the board's permission, I'll go ahead and sign that we have no comment.
Okay.
You okay with
Yeah,
that?
I'm fine with
Both
that.
of you? Okay. It's my favorite part now that we have a budget.
We're doing good.
Did we spend any money this month? Yes, we did.
Oh, good.
Oh, and we have another one for the feasibility too. Nice. Nice, but that's our ledger, that's what we've,
Oh, good.
so we okay with that?
Okay.
Are we in agreement?
Yep.
So we need to convert our old library into housing.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. That one that's on the front looks like the Pequot Hotel in Athol.
Hmm.
That's just an advertisement for replacement windows for mill buildings.
Just reminded me of it.
We have so many in town. And outside of that, I don't have any more mail, so, do we need anything else? You guys, then we can actually ask for an adjournment. Anybody make a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and again, if you are interested in helping us out with the video of this meeting, please go on to the town's website, fill out a volunteer form, and let us know your interest. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Bye-bye.